cheap solar power, batteries, and electric vehicles are changing the transport and energy sector as we know. I bring in guests to this podcast who will help you with their ideas to navigate this energy transition. By the way, this episode is also available as a video on our YouTube channel. Just search Energypreneurs. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon, Dr. Anibish. Finally, good to connect. I think we met a long time ago,
Yes.
about 2001, no?
Yes, we are working together since 2001.
Wow.
We used to work at ADB,
Yes.
and when you was trying to support the development of renewable energy in Mongolia.
Yes, many, many years ago.
Yeah.
But you started working on solar even earlier than that in 1978, no?
Actually, I used to work in field of solar energy since 1978, after my university. Initially, I used to work in the Institute of Physics and Technology of the Mongolian Academy of Sciences. And at that time, just after the oil crisis in 1973, there was oil crisis all over the world. And different countries, especially the Western countries, was trying to look for another power sources because oil price is going up, and maybe for the future, the human society need to use another source of energy. So I heard that even since that time, there was many studies in Western countries, especially in United States and in Europe and other developed countries, to look on the possibility to use renewable energy. That at that time, Mongolia was a socialist country together with the Soviet Union. And the socialist countries also was looking for this possibility to look in other power sources, especially renewable energy power sources, for the future power supply. When I came to Mongolia after my university in Russia, at that time, my institute was trying to establish a small lab to develop solar cell technology, to start some research on developing the solar cell technology. And since that time, I was involved in PV.
Yes, and I also remember at that time when we were discussing the small or rather tiny solar project that we did. You're talking the first one. I remember talking about a gigawatt scale solar in Gobi Desert and planning to export all over the world, no? Do you want to tell
Yes.
us more about that big giga plan?
Can you see these books?
Yes, I can.
Energy from the desert. I just prepared to show. I was working together with different researchers from different countries to study how we can develop a large-scale solar power generation for human society. And there was a study on different deserts, including Mongolian Gobi Desert. So I was representing my country to contribute about the conditions of Mongolian Gobi Desert to host the large-scale solar power plants to supply the renewable energy in large scale. But it was very huge project. At that time, solar power was very expensive, but now it has been very drastically changed. That today, in many countries, can have such large-scale solar power plants already, especially in the desert countries like China and United States and Australia, India, also in Africa and Sahara Desert also can host large-scale solar plants, especially the country Morocco is very active, for example, in this project too.
This is the interesting point that you make. At that time, that the solar price was expensive and it made sense to generate where the land was cheap and transmit everywhere. But then solar becomes so cheap, all of those countries ended up doing their own solar locally because the transmission cost would have been so much higher. So China has gigawatt of solar. So ultimately, not much has happened in Mongolia, no? In the Gobi, the gigawatt scale.
Yeah, actually, as I mentioned that during our joint study, the Mongolian Gobi Desert was studied very comprehensively. It was even some kind of a very comprehensive feasibility study to establish large scale, like 10 gigawatt and up to 100 gigawatt solar PV plant in the Mongolian Gobi Desert, because Mongolian Gobi Desert is a very suitable place because the outside temperature is lower, which is good for solar power generation. And the land area is very flat and very suitable. And also there is almost empty land area and large scale and larger size.
Yeah, the countries that you are planning to export, mostly China and other places, now ended up
Yeah.
doing their own solar, right? Rather than importing, because solar becomes so cheap, no?
Yes. Of course, there was considered to export the electricity to Northeast Asian countries, including Japan and Korea. But in order to reach those countries, of course, we have to pass the China, Russia. So, it means at first we have to export electricity to China, to our neighbors, to Russia. Then we can move to other countries. But in reality, in China already established very large scale solar power plants, established very high capacity DC transmission lines, which can transmit electricity in long distance, very low losses.
That's what I'm
And
just thinking now, that a lot of regional project, like there are in Southeast Asia, there are a lot of connection, regional power grid connecting all those countries. Maybe doesn't make sense anymore because solar is so much cheaper. You can put it actually into the country rather than building these very expensive transmission lines.
yes, landscape is changing now, because initially we was thinking about centralized power plants. Traditional technology was based on the centralized power supply, like large scale nuclear power plant or large scale hydropower plant or large scale fossil
Mhm.
fuel power plants, right? But now more and more becoming popular distributed power generation. The philosophy of energy supply is now changing. So many of countries looking more to use distributed power supply.
Yep.
This is very, very suitable, especially for the developing countries like Mongolia, which has large territory. And if we transmit, if we use the centralized power supply, there is high losses. But distributed power supply, we can put the power sources, distributed power sources, everywhere where we want to
Yep.
use. Also, that IT technology is now become so powerful that we can manage the system all over the country or even all over the world from monitoring room. So I think now we can say that like era stage of development, large scale development of distributed power supply instead of centralized.
And then also you did this large off-grid project after our project in 2001, like 100,000 gear project. Do you want to tell a bit more about that in Mongolia, right? That was very large.
Yes. Initially, the solar power application in Mongolia was a small off-grid solar home systems, which was used to supply electricity to nomadic people, which is living in countryside. And then we started also some centralized power plants, solar power plants in different parts of the country. Now we have more than 10 solar power plants and also wind power plants all over the country, which is now all share of renewable energy now reached around 22% in overall energy supply. Yeah.
But it's not just you are using solar for everyday use. Last week, when we caught up in Mongolia over dinner, you also mentioned that you are doing some amazing stuff with solar thermal, no? Maybe you can explain a bit more on that technology also. That's very exciting.
Yes. Of course, when we are talking about the energy transition, about to use more and more renewable energy, we have to look on the possibility to use renewable energy, especially the solar energy, how to generate heat and to use it for cooling and heating, which is now, if you look on the share of primary energy supply, heating and cooling is over 50%. So if we are planning to go more renewable energy supply, we have to think about how we can effectively use solar renewable energy for heating and for cooling. For example, in Mongolia, we need the heating. So we have to look on how we can effectively use on solar energy for heating. This is one issue. Another issue is because in Mongolia, we are using the coal for heating. Air pollution is very high. It is like kind of disaster in Mongolia during the winter time. There many people are dying because of heavy smoke, high air pollution. So we need to find a solution how we can effectively use the clean energy, especially the renewable and solar energy for heating purposes. So that's why during the last year, we are focusing how we can effectively use the solar energy for heating purposes, especially as the solar PV is becoming very cheap. Now it is in some places, using the solar PV panel for producing the heat is even cheaper than to use like solar collectors or other power sources for heating. So that's why we are now focusing on the using solar PV for heating purposes. During the last 3 years, we had some good research and some pilot projects in Mongolia together with researchers from Germany and from China. And we already supplied several in different scale of such system where we can use the solar PV for heating. Now the several kindergartens and the school are already using the solar PV for heating. And of course, there is another innovation is the using of the thermal heat battery. So now everybody knows how to store, how we can store the electricity by using the lead acid and lithium batteries. But heat battery is another innovation, which is now becoming more and more popular during the last few years. Especially there was established the phase change material to use for thermal storage. It's becoming more popular to use such a technology for heating purpose by having the solar energy. So if it is okay, I can show you something how we are using it here in Mongolia, in my home, for example.
So you are saying battery is there, but you can use the heat source as a battery, so energy storage, and you're already doing that in your house.
Yes, it is better. I show you this equipment.
Yep. Wow. Okay. What's this?
So electric heater which is operating from solar.
Yep. It's like a water heater, but operating from solar directly, right?
Yes. We use an inverter, three-phase inverter, which is heating this electric heater. And this electric heater applies the hot water to this big tank. Inside of this tank, we have not only water, we have also this kind of capsule. Inside of this capsule, there is a paraffin, so-called paraffin mix. The heat density is almost 4 to 5 times higher than hot water.
Ah, okay. So let me understand. You have what you're showing is almost like a size of a banana, so little capsule, and that has a graphene mix which can store heat 5 to 6 times more than water, right?
Yes. For example, inside of tank, I put 800 pieces like this.
800 pieces. Okay.
Yes. So my tank is around 1,000 liters. By adding 800 pieces of heat battery, the heating, as you can see in my home, I use also the batteries here. You can see
Yep.
these
These are
batteries
lithium
I
batteries on
store the
series.
electricity. This is lead acid batteries.
Ah, you're using lead acid batteries. Okay.
I use it already 7 years.
7 years. Home batteries. Wow.
Yes, this is still okay. We are using carefully, yeah. And I just want to say that I'm using not only this electric lead acid batteries, also I'm using this heat batteries, as I showed you this one.
Yeah. So now, how does the heat battery work? So if it was
Okay.
simple water, your water will be maybe at a temperature of 99 degrees or something under pressure. But graphene
Uh-huh.
can give you maybe 400 degrees, no? 400 or more.
No,
Yep.
it is melting when temperature reaches 59 Celsius degree.
Okay.
When it is melting, takes heat to inside. And when it is freezing, they gives the heat to outside. When the phase changing from liquid to solid, from solid to liquid during the day. During the daytime, when the sun is shining, I operate this electric heater, and the water temperature of the water inside of this tank reaches up to 70 degrees. It means not only this temperature of the as temperature water of the water reaches 70 degrees, also the temperature of the mix inside of this capsule also it is melting already in liquid, and temperature around like 65 to 70 degrees. Okay. And it means after it was melted, they take electricity from the water to inside. And then after sun is setting, I don't use any electricity. My home use the heat from this tank. We provide the heat to inside of the house. And when water is coming back to this tank, reducing the temperature, if temperature reduces below the 59 degrees, the paraffin mix inside of this capsule is transferred from liquid to solid, which is taking out some heat. The water inside of the tank becomes more warmer, like 60 or 65 degrees. In that way, I use the heating in my home around like 8 hours, 6 to 8 hours without any electricity.
Okay. So, question for you, Dr. Anabish. So, this water heater is not just providing water heating in your house, it can also provide the general purpose heating in the house. So, is it coming, the pipes going under your slabs, or how the heat is coming to your living room?
You can see here the small pump, right? Which is the pumping the water to inside of the house. Then all the hot water going through this collector to the room, to the radiators, heating radiator.
Very impressive.
Can you see the outside?
Yep, it's a very bright sun outside.
There is some fence.
Ah, so you have a balcony solar.
Yeah, this is my fence is by using the solar PV modules.
And how many kilowatt of fence you have?
And 28 kilowatt.
Wow. And how many hours did you get on an average from that fence?
I can receive the electricity around 160 kilowatt hours each day.
From the fence?
Yes.
Wow, this is quite significant because large houses like you, the farmhouses, 160 kilowatt hour, it's a lot.
Yeah. I'm also selling the electricity back to grid.
You're also selling back to the grid.
I just want to show you a little bit clearly from outside.
Yeah, you have the whole balcony solar, whole fence is solar. And there's no restriction in Mongolia for putting the fence with solar, right?
Yes. Can you see now this?
Yeah, I can see your solar fence.
They just look at on my house.
It's amazing.
This is all roof covered by PV.
Yep. and you are generating more than 160 kilowatt hour just from your balcony or
Yes,
your fence.
yes.
And how much
Every
generate from your house? Another 50 kilowatt hour per day or more?
more, much more. And this is small street lights is also powered by solar. You can see this.
Yeah, so this is quite extraordinary because that's what the Mongolia should be. You have so much sun during summer times. But then obvious question would be, Dr. Enebish, when it becomes minus 40 degrees or minus 50 degrees, and it becomes in Mongolia, what happens to the solar in those really, really cold temperature? I know solar become
No, no.
efficient, but do you still generate a lot of electricity during winter time?
Yes, yes. Because the outside cooling is much better condition for higher generation by PV.
Okay. You just have to clear the snow from the panels, right?
Yes, yes. For example, this fence, it is a vertical position. There is snow cannot stay there.
Yeah,
Just
there's no snow. Yep. This is quite intriguing. So I know I have seen that in Uzbekistan directly in minus 5 degrees in the Uzbek Technical Institute, that how solar was actually producing more in that cold. But a lot of people have perception like what we are going to do when the cold happens. So if you are generating, say, 100 kilowatt hour in summer, what sort of kilowatt hour per day you will generate in winter? Do you have some numbers
in case of Mongolia, the peak solar hours is around 5 to 6.5 hours.
per day?
It means 1 kilowatt PV can generate from 5 to 6.5 kilowatt hours each day. If you have the 10 kilowatt PV, so you can have 50 to 65 kilowatt hours per day. This is much
But how does
higher.
that vary between summer and winter?
It is around like 20%, around 20% maximum.
20% less during winter.
Yes.
Okay.
During the winter time, there is also some increases because of the outside temperature is lower. Also, there is some reflected radiation from the snow.
Yeah, you have
There
one
is some,
advantage in Mongolia. You don't get much cloud, right? So it's a clear.
yes, yes. During the winter time, sky is more clear than during the summertime. Yeah.
And if you do not have cloud, you get sun comes through, whether it's a cold or hot, doesn't matter.
Yes. Yeah. It's very good that the PV lacks cooling. If outside temperature is lower, the generation power is higher.
So you are basically not only running a house, you're running a power station. If you're doing 200 kilowatt hour in a day, that's not bad, not insignificant, right?
My home also connected to the central grid, but I'm receiving this central grid just as a backup. And instead of receiving the electricity, I'm selling what to the grid. And in Mongolia, recently there is some little bit higher price than, for example, I'm purchasing the electricity from the grid in Mongolian currency 240. But when I am selling the electricity to the grid, they have to pay 285 Mongolian currency, a little bit higher.
And 285 is about, I'm just converting into US dollars. It's about 7 cents a kilowatt hour, 8 cents a kilowatt hour, right?
Right, right. Yes. So actually, I'm not paying much money to the grid. The grid is paying to me.
Wonderful. Now, Dr. Enebish, if you are driving also electric car or a hybrid car?
Not yet. But
No,
I'm thinking that maybe in coming years we need to have to purchase some, because now it is very popular. This BYD cars becoming cheaper and cheaper. So we can have the solar station in my home.
yes,
It is
you can put a charging station for the whole neighbors.
Yes, yes, right. Yeah.
I mean, this is extraordinary that Mongolia, I went last week, maybe after 10
Mhm.
years, and now I see hybrids. I was asking people maybe 300,000 hybrids out of a million car, right? One in three
Yeah.
cars or one in two cars almost now Toyota Prius, right?
Yes. Yes.
And they are not plug-in hybrids. So they are getting the electricity from the grid.
Yes. Yes.
Not from the grid. They're not a plug-in hybrid. So they are using oil to generate that electricity, right? Because of that 2-liter engine they have. So if they
Yes.
can be converted into plug-in hybrid, then they can get electricity from the solar directly, no?
Right. Yes.
So these
Yes.
remote gate areas, you drive, you don't see anybody. And those people, rather than importing oil to run their Priuses, generate electricity, save in the lithium battery they have in the car, they can
Mhm.
directly take it from the sun if it was a plug-in hybrid.
Right. Yes, exactly.
Why is not that happening fast enough?
I think some policy framework is needed to support such activity. I think it should come in coming years. I hope, because Mongolia has so much coal, everything based on coal and petrol. So now, uh, instead of changes of technology development, also the people mindset have to be changed also to use more new type of power sources, not only for electricity and heat supply, also for charging electric cars and for other uses.
And obviously, and then you mentioned Mongolians don't have to wait for climate change. The pollution I've seen in the Republic, that when the coal plants runs for generating electricity, you can almost put your tongue out and you can get a grit from the air. Its pollution is very, very bad, right?
Right. Yes. During the last year, I heard over 3,000 people pass away because of this air pollution issues. And also the Mongolians spending so much money for the medical treatments because of this air pollution.
Yes, and
So it
solution
is
is
really,
right here in Dr. Enebish's house.
yes. So we need to scale up it. And also our governments have to support such activity, such initiatives of the public to use more and more such kind of clean energy power sources, especially for heating. This are some steps has done already. So I hope in the coming years it will increase, and maybe in 5 years there should be more, much more such kind of applications.
And then also you are, as a former senior scientist of Department of Energy, I'm sure you also are very much involved in the policy making, no?
No, I'm tired. I used to work as an advisor to them. Of course, I'm trying to convince our colleagues to support such activities. I think they understand how to move forward, I hope.
Wonderful. Now, Dr. Anibish, you also mentioned to me last week that the solar thermal is like a heat pump. You can also use it for cooling. How does that one work?
You are talking about the heat pump?
Yeah. You said the solar can be also for cooling. So what is that technology? That's a different technology, like a little gadget.
There is two different options. One is just the solar electricity generated by PV can
Mhm.
be used as electric power supply for cooling equipments, cooling and heating equipments. Another option is that as PV become very cheap now, and also we now tested this thermal battery to store the heat. It means we can store not only heat, we can also store the cold. During the winter time, we can use this stored heating. During the summertime, we can use the stored cold for the heat cold storage.
Mhm.
So one of my colleagues in China, as I mentioned to you, he has founded some startup companies in China to develop these heat batteries, which is more cheaper than the heat batteries in UK and also in Europe, in Germany. In Germany, in UK, there is also heat battery was developed in very high quality, high efficiency, especially in UK. There is the company which is all over the UK. They are using very effectively this heat battery for hot water supply and even for space heating. But in China, also there is lots of developments going on this way. And now we are working with the Chinese company Heatmate to develop a small portable electrical heater passage metal PCM storage, thermal storage. And the first samples already are under test in Mongolia now. Hopefully, maybe after 1 month, we will see Dr. Shi again and discuss how we scale up such kind of technology in Mongolia. So, as I mentioned to you, we can work all together to scale up this solution, not only in Mongolia, to other countries like in Middle East countries also very much needed such technology, not only for heating, also for cooling or cold storage. So this is very interesting business and project.
Wonderful. Now, you are so fit. And tell us what you do for fun. How do you stay so much fit and very, very active?
Thank
You do a lot of hiking, right?
you. Yeah, it's almost every week. Yeah. So you can see, just I show you, there is very good place for hiking. You can see that.
Yes. So you have to just get out and go into the mountain walking around.
Right. Yes. This
Wow.
is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a super privilege that you have. I don't think not many people have access to that, right? You have a mountain just in your backyard.
It's a little bit far away, around like 30, 35 kilometers.
35 kilometer? Okay. Okay.
So 35 kilometers to reach my home from the center of city where you stay. I counted around 36 something.
Extraordinary. So thank you for your time, Dr. Anivesh. Do you want to share anything else?
Actually, I send you some information by email. And also in the next week, I will send you some project proposal.
Anything else you want to share for the audience? Because a lot of people will be interested to learn from you. What can people do?
So what I'm doing is that I'm also trying to write some books about PV technology to teach the young people. And just I want to show you, you heard about the guy Herman Scher. This is you can see.
Yep. So you are
the
writing
guy.
a book with him.
Yeah. He writes the book, which is called Energy Autonomy, how people can use this renewable energy as an independent power supply in different way.
Okay. And then, Dr. Anivesh, how can people find you? What's the best option to find you on LinkedIn, or you have a website or something else?
I think I may have some website, but I asked my daughter to do it. But you can see the book, Chinese New Energy Revolution. And this is also very interesting book. And what I'm doing is, this is solar electric house. What we are doing now. This is some advances in solar energy and the photovoltaics system design and practice.
Wow, you have a lot of collections here.
Yeah, these books are going to be translated into Mongolian and for teaching at the university.
Wonderful.
This is one subject where I'm working now.
Okay, Dr. Anivesh, thank you so much for your time. Keep up the energy and the inspiration that you bring to not only to the Mongolians, but everyone else. Someone to be able to connect the whole house, even using lead acid batteries. You are doing something all by yourself, design, implement. It's extraordinary.
Yeah. So it is interesting that when I used to work in the ministry, And in the university, many people was saying, you are always saying people have to use solar energy, but why you are not using by yourself? So now I am just physically showing I'm using it now after I'm retired. Yeah.
And you can write a book about retirement. You mentioned that you are 10 years older than me. You look much more fitter than I am. And this is really, really amazing that to keep up the energy and to be able to contribute back to the society in such a sort of vigor, no?
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Dr.
you.
English. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this episode of Energypreneurs. If you enjoy this, don't forget the full video is on YouTube. Just search Energypreneurs. Thank you. See you next time.